Kang Tae-jun came to Valerie Kane's bar to break a man's hand, but he forgot the man the moment Valerie stepped between them. The debtor saw it first. Tae-jun had one hand on the table, one threat already half spoken, and the reputation of a 35-year-old collector who never needed to raise his voice twice. Then Valerie crossed the room in front of him, 68 years old, calm as a locked door, and his eyes dropped to her body before he could stop them. The debtor laughed. It was small, nervous, almost stupid, but everyone heard it. Valerie heard it too. She stopped beside Tae-jun and looked at the debtor, not the collector. What's funny? The debtor's smile died. Nothing. No, Valerie said. You saw something. Tae-jun turned his head slowly, and the man in the booth went pale. A second earlier, he had been afraid of Tae-jun's hand. Now, he was afraid of what Tae-jun might do to hide the weakness everyone had witnessed. Valerie raised one finger before Tae-jun could move. Don't repair your pride with violence in my bar. That stopped him harder than a weapon. Tae-jun looked at her face then, not her body, and that became his second mistake. Because shame arrived faster than honesty. Valerie stepped closer, close enough to make him choose between looking away and proving the debtor right. You may want my body, she said softly, but if you are ashamed of my age, you do not get to touch either. His hand flexed once at his side. The debtor saw it. So did every rich, dirty man who had spent years pretending a woman became harmless when she became older. Valerie unlocked the black door behind the bar. Come with me, she said. Tae-jun followed, and by the time the door closed behind them, every man in the room understood that Valerie Kane had not invited the collector in. She had exposed what he cost. The black door closed behind them, but Valerie did not lock it. Tae-jun noticed. You leave it open for every man? He asked. Valerie turned around. No, only for men who think a closed door makes them chosen. The answer struck before he could defend himself. A thin strip of light from the bar cut under the door, reminding him that the room outside had not disappeared. The debtor was still there. His men were still there. The rich men were still deciding what they had seen. Valerie wanted him to feel that. She placed one hand on the back of a leather chair. Sit. His mouth tightened. I don't sit when I'm ordered. You followed when your body ordered you to. He did not sit. Good. Defiance was easier to measure than obedience. Valerie walked toward him, slowly enough that he had time to step back. He did not. His shoulders stayed square. His eyes stayed on hers. But his breathing changed when she stopped close. There it was again. Not love, not respect, reaction. She touched the front of his jacket with 2 fingers, just above the heart. His body locked, as if her touch had become a command. You wanted me in front of them, she said. His voice dropped. Yes, but you hated that they saw it. His silence came too quickly. Valerie smiled without warmth. That is the part I brought back here. Tae-jun caught her wrist, not hard enough to hurt, hard enough to prove he still believed touch could answer humiliation. Valerie looked at his hand on her skin. If you need to grab me to feel like a man again, you already lost. He released her immediately. The speed of it exposed him more than the grip had. Valerie opened a small cabinet and took out a black card. One rule was printed in silver. No touch without permission. She placed it on the table between them. Tae-jun stared at it. You keep rules printed for this? I keep rules for men who confuse wanting with access. I'm not one of your drunk customers. No, she said. You are worse. His eyes sharpened. They looked at you, she continued, and for 1 second you cared more about their judgment than about the fact that you wanted me. I followed you, didn't I? Because you wanted to win back the room. That landed. His jaw moved once, but no answer came. Valerie stepped close enough for the same desire to return to his face against his will. If I kissed you now, she said, would you want the door open? His eyes went dark. She waited. That was the test, not hunger. Hunger was cheap. The test was the pause, the tiny hesitation before a man decided whether a woman's age was something he could stand beside or something he had to hide. Valerie saw it. So did he. She straightened. Thank you, she said. For what? For answering. I didn't say anything. You didn't have to. Valerie opened the door before he could stop her. The bar noise returned, but softer now, stranger. The debtor no longer looked afraid. Tae-jun's men no longer looked certain. The men at the tables no longer looked at Tae-jun first. Their eyes moved past him, to Valerie, to her body, to the rule card still visible behind her, and from the far end of the bar, an older man with a wedding ring lifted his glass and smiled like he had just learned where the price began. The older man with the wedding ring spoke before the door had finished closing behind Valerie. If the collector gets a private test, he said, lifting his glass, what does honesty cost? No one laughed. That made it worse. The sentence stayed in the room like smoke. Men who had paid 6 figures for silence suddenly looked poor in manners. The debtor wiped blood from his mouth and watched Tae-jun instead of fearing him. Valerie did not turn toward the older man right away. She looked at Tae-jun. His face had gone still. A moment ago, the room had seen him want her. Now the room was trying to buy the meaning of that want. Tae-jun took 1 step toward the man with the ring. Valerie's voice stopped him. No. He insulted you, Tae-jun said. No, Valerie said. He priced me. There is a difference. The older man smiled wider, believing the correction made him safe. I meant respect, he said. A woman like you should know when admiration is expensive. A younger hostess near the bar looked down. Valerie saw the lesson pass through the girl's face. Men could make a woman's body public and call it admiration. Valerie walked to the older man's table. His bodyguard shifted. Tae-jun shifted faster. Valerie raised 1 finger without looking back. Do not confuse my silence with permission to become useful. Tae-jun stopped. The room heard that. So did he. Valerie took the older man's glass from his hand and set it on the table. You said a woman like me, she said. Say what you meant. His smile thinned. Beautiful. No. That is the word men use when they want to sound clean. The debtor breathed too loudly. Valerie turned to him. You too, say what you saw. The debtor swallowed. He wanted you. And? The man looked at Tae-jun, then back at Valerie. And he hated that we saw. There it was. Not desire. Evidence. Valerie nodded once. Good. Now all of you understand why the bar is closed to men who think a woman becomes cheaper when she becomes older. The older man's face changed. Valerie, don't be dramatic. At your age, attention is not an insult. Tae-jun moved before thought. His hand caught the man by the collar and slammed him back against the booth hard enough to spill whiskey across the table. Chairs scraped. Guards reached inside their jackets. The debtor smiled like he had been given a show. Valerie did not raise her voice. Tae-jun! He did not release the man. He said you're aged like a weapon, Tae-jun said, and you grabbed him like I was property damaged in your name. That reached him. His grip loosened. Valerie stepped close enough that only he could hear the next sentence, but the room felt its shape. Do not defend the woman you were ashamed to be seen wanting. His hand fell away. The older man coughed, straightening his jacket. Valerie looked at the door guard. Cancel his membership. The older man stared. Mine? Valerie's eyes stayed on Tae-jun. Both of theirs. Tae-jun's face changed. You're removing me? No, Valerie said. You removed yourself when you thought violence could buy back courage. The guard opened the front door. Cold air entered the bar, and every man in the room watched Kang Tae-jun learn that wanting Valerie Kane did not make him different from them. The front door stayed open behind Kang Tae-jun. That was the humiliation. Not being removed, but being removed slowly enough for every man in the bar to watch him decide whether he would obey. Valerie stood inside, one hand resting on the counter. You know I'm not like him, Tae-jun said. The room listened. That was the part he hated. I didn't price you, he said. No, Valerie answered. You only punished the man who did. He insulted you, and you made his insult about your pride. His face hardened. You think I'm the same as them? I think you want me to tell you that you are different. The words hit too cleanly. Tae-jun stepped 1 foot back over the threshold. The guard moved, but Valerie raised her hand. Let him stand there. Let him feel the line. Ask me anything, Tae-jun said. Valerie's eyes did not soften. Were you ashamed because you wanted me? She asked, or because they saw you wanting me? No one breathed. The younger hostess looked up. The debtor stopped smiling. Even Tae-jun's men outside heard enough to know their boss had been dragged into a fight they could not win for him. Tae-jun opened his mouth. Nothing came out. Valerie nodded once, as if he had finally given her the only honest answer he owned. A private man always thinks silence is dignity, she said. I followed you in front of them. After they caught you, his jaw tightened. She stepped closer, but not close enough for him to mistake distance for mercy. If you had wanted me before anyone saw it, that would have been desire. If you had stood beside it after they saw it, that might have been courage. What was it then? You tried to turn shame into protection. The sentence sounded like every excuse women are told to call care. Valerie reached under the counter and pulled out a black leather book. The private access list. Every man in the room knew it existed. Almost none of them had seen it opened. She turned the pages slowly until she found his name, Kang Tae-jun. Then she took a silver pen and drew one clean line through it. His face changed before he could stop it. There it was, not anger, loss. You're banning me from the private room? He asked. No, Valerie said. I'm banning you from believing you were ever invited into it. The debtor exhaled. Valerie closed the book. You may send business through your men, nothing else. You will not call me directly. You will not wait at my door. You will not ask what you were to me. Tae-jun looked at the crossed-out name like it had taken skin from him. And if I come anyway? Valerie's answer was quiet enough to hurt more. Then you prove you wanted access, not me. The guard stepped between them. This time, Tae-jun did not fight. He stepped back. The door closed in his face, and inside the bar, the men finally understood the cruelest part. Valerie Kane had not rejected him because he wanted her. She rejected him because he wanted to be forgiven for hiding it. The first offer came before Tae-jun's shadow disappeared from the glass. A man near the piano slid a black card across the bar. No name, just a number. Valerie looked at it, then at him. He smiled like discretion was a gift. No drama, no public scene. Some men know how to appreciate a woman privately. The word privately landed harder than the card. Across the room, another man laughed under his breath. Careful. She just threw out the last man who wanted her. No, Valerie said. I threw out the man who was ashamed of wanting me. The room went still, but not clean. It was changing into something uglier. A market. Men who had spent years treating Valerie as the owner of the room now looked at her as if the room had revealed a weakness they could negotiate with. One man offered protection. Another offered silence. A third, younger than Tae-jun, looked at her body and said, At your age, being wanted should still feel like a compliment. The younger hostess behind the counter flinched. Valerie saw it. Not jealousy, recognition. That girl would be 30 one day, then 40, then 50. Then someone would teach her that male attention could arrive wrapped as insult. Valerie picked up the black card. For 1 second, every man watched her hand. Then she tore it in half. You are all very confused, she said. This bar was never a place where men came to buy women. It was a place where men paid not to become honest. The man near the piano stopped smiling. Valerie turned to the guard. Lock the front door. A murmur moved through the room. Everyone stays seated, she said, and everyone listens. Outside, through the glass, Tae-jun saw the lock turn. His phone lit in his hand. Min Seok. Then another call. Then a message from his clan. Valerie Kane is exposing clients. Shut the bar down before she names men we protect. Tae-jun looked through the glass at Valerie standing alone in a room full of men who had mistaken her age for a discount. Then he did the one thing he had been told never to do. He refused the order. Inside, Valerie opened the membership book again. Any man who said privately tonight loses this room. Any man who said at your age loses this room. Any man who thought desire gave him a lower price loses this room. The piano man stood. You'll destroy your own business over pride? No, Valerie said. I'm destroying the part of it that taught you I could be bought quietly. The guard moved table by table, collecting cards, memberships, names, power. Then the front door shook once, hard. Everyone turned. Tae-jun stood outside with 2 clan cars behind him. His men were waiting for an order. He did not give one. He placed both hands where Valerie could see them and said through the glass, They were told to take the bar. Valerie walked to the door, but did not unlock it, then stopped them. His eyes held hers. If I do. She answered without mercy. You still don't come in. Min Seok reached the glass door first. 2 clan cars idled behind him. 4 men stood in the street, hands inside their coats, waiting for Tae-jun to remember who he was supposed to be. Boss, Min Seok said. Open it. Tae-jun did not move. Inside the bar, every man watched through the glass. Valerie stood on the other side of the locked door, close enough to hear, far enough to remind him he still had no access. Min-seok lowered his voice. The elders said shut it down. She is holding names, clients, accounts, men we protect. She is holding men accountable, Tae-jun said. Min-seok blinked once. That answer did not belong to the man he knew. She made you look weak in there. No, Tae-jun said. I did that myself. The words crossed the glass. Valerie heard them. So did the men inside. So did the clan soldiers outside. That was the price beginning. Min-seok looked toward the bar, then back at him. You are going to lose face over an old woman who locked you out? The street went quiet. Tae-jun stepped close enough that Min-seok's hand stopped moving inside his coat. Say old again, Tae-jun said, and you prove she was right about every man in this room and every man outside it. Min-seok swallowed. For 1 second, Tae-jun could have used fear. It would have been easy, familiar, clean. Instead, he took out his phone and placed it on the hood of the nearest car. Then his clan ring. Then the envelope of debt money he had come to collect. Min-seok stared. What are you doing? Paying without buying. Inside, Valerie's face did not soften. That mattered, because a softer woman would have saved him from the cost. Valerie did not. Tae-jun turned toward the glass, but he did not ask her to open it. I wanted you, he said. The room behind her went still. His men heard it. The debtor heard it. The rich men heard it. And I was ashamed that they saw it before I was brave enough to say it. Valerie did not move. He kept going, because stopping there would have made the confession another performance. I used protection because I wanted to feel cleaner than them. I was not cleaner. I only had more violence. Min-seok looked away first. Not out of respect, out of embarrassment. The kind men feel when another man says the ugly thing aloud. Tae-jun turned back to his soldiers. No one enters this bar. No one touches her door. No one touches her clients unless she names them first. If the elders want the debt collected, they collect it from me. Min-seok went pale. That is not your call. It is now. You'll lose the district. Tae-jun looked through the glass at Valerie. She was watching him the way she had watched his desire. Measuring, not forgiving. Measuring. Then I lose it, he said. For the first time that night, no one laughed. The clan cars stayed where they were. The bar stayed locked. Valerie finally stepped closer to the glass. Tae-jun waited, not for reward, not for touch, not even for her voice. She lifted one hand and placed a new black card against the inside of the door. No access without permission. Then she turned away. And Tae-jun understood that telling the truth had cost him everything except the one thing he still had not earned. By the time the clan cars left, the street outside Valerie Kane's bar had gone quiet. That quiet was worse than violence. Kang Tae-jun stood before the locked door with no men behind him, no ring on his finger, no phone in his hand, and no order left to give. Through the glass, the bar looked almost empty now. Chairs pushed back, membership cards cut in half. Men who had paid to disappear had finally been seen. Valerie stood on the other side. She did not unlock it. Tae-jun looked at the black card pressed against the glass. No access without permission. He read it once, then again. Not like a warning, like a sentence. I told them the truth, he said. Valerie's voice came through the door, low and clear. Yes, I lost the district. Yes, I said I wanted you. Her face did not move. Yes, his throat tightened. But he did not step closer. That was the first thing she noticed. He stayed exactly where a man without permission should stay. And still, he said, "You won't open the door." Valerie looked at him for a long moment. Behind her, the younger hostess stopped collecting broken glass. The guard stopped moving. Every woman in the room seemed to understand the same old trap. A man confesses, and suddenly the woman is expected to reward him. No, Valerie said. The answer did not sound cruel. That made it harder. Because I failed, he asked. Because truth is not payment. He looked up. Valerie touched the glass with 2 fingers, not where his hand was, but beside the rule. You wanted my body before you were brave enough to stand beside my age. You told the truth after the room forced it out of you. That matters. His eyes caught on that word. Matters. Not forgiveness, not access, not reward. But it does not erase the pause, she said. The pause, that tiny silence after she asked whether he was ashamed of wanting her, or ashamed they had seen it. The silence that had cost him more than blood. Tae-jun nodded once. He finally understood. He had become proof that a 68-year-old woman's body could still make a dangerous man forget himself. But proof was not love. Proof was not courage. Proof did not get to enter. Valerie turned away from the door. This time, he did not call her name. He did not knock. He did not ask how long. He simply stood outside as the lights of her bar went out one by one, until only the black card remained visible through the glass. No access without permission, and for the first time in his life, Kang Tae-jun wanted a woman badly enough to understand that wanting her did not make him worthy of being let in. Now tell me honestly, if a man wanted you in private but hesitated when the room saw it, would his confession be enough? Would you open the door after he lost everything? Or would you leave him outside until he learned that desire without public respect is still shame? Write your answer in the comments and subscribe for the next dark romance story.